by the injustice system indicting Good Samaritan and former Marine Daniel Penny for stepping in to protect women, children, and other subway passengers he believed to be in danger. They are teaching the general population, and generally speaking, men, not to intervene when other fellow citizens are in danger. They're teaching people that if a person is threatening a woman or a child or perhaps an elderly person or somebody who is handicapped or disabled, that it's not your responsibility. And not only is it not your responsibility, it's your duty to not intervene and to let them potentially be harmed, injured, or in certain cases, lose their life entirely. And this goes double if you are a certain skin color and the other person is not that skin color. This is yet another chess piece in the continued emasculization of men, weakening of men, continued risk for women, children, and the elderly, and increased reliance on the state. If you're a white man in America and a person of color, or perhaps even someone of the same skin color but is in the LGBT community, you are now being trained to allow them to be hurt and injured, even if you have the ability to stop it. The truth will come out at trial for Daniel Penny, but let's just assume for the sake of the discussion that he was telling the truth. What the state, the city of New York, and the injustice system is suggesting is that in the event that a woman, a child, or another person would have potentially be in harm's way, that a person that is specifically trained, a former Marine, a veteran, even that person should not do anything about it. There have been an overwhelming amount of women, children, elderly people, and people of all races, colors, and creeds in New York City that have been victimized on the subway. And even though there's ridiculous 2A laws in New York City, just about a year or a year and a half ago, a guy went into the subway and just started spraying. And coincidentally, because everything's a coincidence, the cameras that were on those subway cars or in that specific terminal just happened to malfunction that day. Because of course they did. And then the mainstream legacy media, who is enriched by outrage, makes this story a national news story because of the skin color difference. They sensationalize it, they broadcast it, push it all around the world, get people worked up, and they make a ton of money for it. And then the easily emotionally manipulated, most of the time race grifters, jump on it and start screaming. They take every issue that's ever happened in the history of time of a person of a specific skin color and they blame him. They protest in the street. They squeal and scream. They scream at Eric Adams. They demand justice, supposed justice online. Because this white face represents all theoretical perceived oppression for over the history of time. And it's just another example of people being supposedly hunted in the street. When the people in their own community that look just like them represent an outsized number of people that commit these types of crimes statistically all across the country. But instead of holding themselves accountable and looking inward, looking into improving their own community and prevent future situations like this from occurring, who do they blame? The police force, the system, white people in general. And what's so sad about all of this is that the exact same people that will be victimized by this are typically and more frequently the people in their own community that they're pretending to protect, that they're pretending to stand up for, that they're pretending to be seeking justice for. Those are the people that are going to be hurt the most. The men, the women, the children, the elderly, especially the elderly women and children of color in their own communities. Because as Daniel Penny said, he said, I didn't see a man of color screaming at women and children, saying that he was willing to go to prison for life. I saw a man screaming at women and children. A man, not a black man, a man. But the supposed justice seekers, the loudest voices, the ones that will scream and squeal through a megaphone, blaming all of their personal problems and all the problems that have ever existed in history on this simple fact that there's a structure, on the police, on the justice system, on anybody and everybody, they're projecting. They're sad on the inside. Instead of actually solving something in their own personal life or in their local communities, they scream and blame anything on this one individual, forgetting the humanity of this person and the brave act that he committed here. But no, nobody cares about that. Meanwhile, the judge, jury, and executioner is the public at large, is the mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC. They decide whether or not Daniel Penny is guilty. The loud man with the megaphone who looks like the person that was supposedly the victim in this situation. Oh, well, he knows because he's the same color. The exact people who pretend like they're fighting racial inequities are creating more of it. They're stoking the flames and assigning race where there is none. But they're too weak of mind. They're too weak of heart. They're too easily emotionally manipulated, blaming all their own problems and the problems of the world on something that is outside themselves and outside their own community. Just finding a scapegoat and dropping the hammer on them. The people you're pretending to defend, pretending to be fighting for justice, are the exact people you're hurting the most. Women will suffer. Children will suffer. The elderly will suffer. Weaker men will suffer. Individual men of all colors will suffer if there's a group of other individuals. Think about it even like this. If there was a group of men of color and a larger group of white men, let's say, and the person that they were victimizing was a black woman of color or a black child of color or even another man of color, the group of white men that could step in to protect those people or persons are being trained and being roasted at the stake to be taught to not intervene, to sit there as what could be a helpful Good Samaritan. They're being trained and taught that if you dare intervene, if you dare step up, if you dare be a man, a protector, a good citizen, a good American, a good human person, that you could go to jail for life. You could get roasted by the court of public opinion. Your life could be destroyed forever for protecting another human being. And for that reason, these disgusting, race-baiting, grifting liars who are completely emotionally manipulated and dictated to by the powers that be that they pretend that they're fighting against, they are the useful idiots of the control mechanism. They are the useful idiots, the emotionally manipulated control pieces of the exact same systems, mechanisms, and people who they pretend and think they're fighting against. You're destroying your own community. You're putting females and children at risk, but you're so easily emotionally manipulated. The woe is me. I'm a victim. A message, a narrative you've been sold your entire life. Until people start having the courage to examine the holes in their own operation, their own view of society and reality, the holes in their own community and in themselves and their own families, the worse it will get. So go ahead and keep blaming Daniel Penny, because the next time somebody as brave as him will have been taught to step out of it, and your people will be hurt. And you better hope that it's not you or someone in your family, someone that you love. Because I would bet the people that loved the other people on that train with Daniel Penny are certainly thankful that he was brave enough to do something.